problem.
We just know that Braum is not available. You know, Urgot has been disabled at times this season. Many champions have been disabled.
Thank God for the Urgot disable.
Hey, Urgot was played yesterday.
And how did it do?
Not that well, Achilles, but I mean, it's crazy that Varus went through picks and bans in game 1. See if that will change in game 2.
Yeah, I did tune in for a very brief moment for that Urgot. Was it Unicorns, right?
Yes,
yeah.
As you'd expect.
I mean, Power of Evil's not even on the team anymore, and they still want to just do weird things.
Now, the only value of an Urgot lock is to just go on Twitter and see who the first prominent analyst is to say, "You're got to be kidding me."
I think I saw a quick shot.
Quickshot just beat Pulse.
Okay. So,
gotta go for that low-hanging fruit, the Urgot memes.
I'll give. There's just so many of them. I'll give that one to Quickshot.
Urgot Mail is also a top one.
Is it a top?
A top Urgot meme. I mean, it's a sliding scale of memes.
Topping the list of 3.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, anyway, Ash Varus going to be banned away here by MVP so far. Nidalee and Sivir on the side of ESC. So they do take out Sivir potentially from Maha. So we'll have to see what he's going to play now. What with the Ash and the Sivir taken off the board. Rai's going to be banned by MVP. Don't want that one in the hands of Crazy, especially. You would play that from the top lane.
On off the record, they showed the one good performance that Maha had on the Jhin, which is going to be one of the meta AD carries available. Lucian also there, and known for his strong laning phase, but you grab Gragas whenever it's available for Beyond. He was the first Gragas this season from the jungle, and bounced many a person into turrets, so makes sense to lock it in with Nidalee off the board.
Yeah, not only that, but Bless as well has been a big Gragas player in the jungle, so it's also a bit of a takeaway. But now with the AD carry pool choked out a bit, let's see what we have. Lucian was flashed, Jhin, of course, as you mentioned from the Off the Record episode, but Ezreal is something as well that we could just see come out. Might be good for Maha. It's hard to be out of position with the Ezreal.
And you're kind of in an awkward spot here if you're ESC ever, because you never really feel great about picking Jhin into Gragas, but if you just give them the Jhin, it also is kind of a freebie for the most powerful AD carry on the board. So I think it's more of a takeaway Jhin pick than necessarily one that is going to be in a great spot for ESC, but they'll also take away the Karma, which will function as a flex pick between mid and support.
Yeah, we'll see. Of course, Totoro, not sure what he is going to want to go for, so that could just be Tempt in the mid lane. Now MVP, where do they want to go from here?
Probably not to Morgana.
Probably not. Haven't seen her in a good while. It's been a hot minute.
Lucian priority has been very interesting in this league. We saw, of course, the SKT series a couple of days ago where lots of AD carries were banned and Bang went to Misfortune of all people. Lucian actually went through picks and bans with 4 AD carry bans. But then you got someone like Fury, who's been playing it almost exclusively for Longzhu in their recent rise.
Yeah.
Lucian's obviously worse in the late game, but he's fine, and he can be very powerful in a mid-game comp.
Yeah. I mean, from time to time, we also have, like, Kramer picks up Lucian here and there. But looks like we might see it today from Maha. Will get locked in as well as the Shen for ADD.
Shen, ADD in general, has been really good on the Shen. MVP have made good use of it. It allows Beyond to play even more aggressively, but they're kind of falling into the same trap of picking Shen with Gangplank open. Gangplank had the most damage dealt to champions in game 1, and surprised to see it as a blind pick here, but maybe we'll see some other aggressive pick-based champions, because if we see a LeBlanc taken for the mid lane, then you can kind of understand taking the Shen and opening up some really aggressive global picks.
Well, it looks like this might just be the lock-in as well as the Alistar. Max played it pretty well in the latter half of game 1, but looks like they might actually save it for a last pick and potentially flex the Karma down bot. Get the last pick from mid. Will be Gangplank locked in though to go into that Shen matchup. And looks like Elise will be the selection here for Bless.
So another reason why we saw the Shen lock in is that whenever Jhin is in the meta, we note the fact that if Jhin is having trouble getting through the front line, it's very hard for him to do damage. And now you have Gragas Shen as your tank front line, so looking difficult for Jhin to actually put out big damage to the back line when the tank line is so strong on the side of MVP. And speaking of strong tank lines, why not get a Tahm Kench as well?
Yeah, that would be pretty brutal here. Very safe as well.
Negates the pick power of the ultimate from Jin, the Elise Cocoon. It is a nice pick in this situation for Max, but
Maha out of trouble.
Taric is also available. I actually like the Tahm Kench a little more, but with the Taric, I guess you can negate the Stand Unite. It's not so you can negate the Gangplank ultimate as somewhere you can fight in for that 2.5 second invulnerability.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple different options, but if it is the Taric lock-in, and they flex that Karma down to the bottom side, that could be a little bit rough for him.
I want to see LeBlanc. I want to see something aggressive out of Ian.
Well,
maybe he goes the opposite direction entirely, although you can play the Azir aggressively.
And that will be the lock-in. So yeah, Azir for Ian, and then Tahm Kench on the board, so Max going to be bringing out that one, the Catfish on the bottom side.
I am surprised to see the Azir, just because then it kind of makes you wonder, why did they draft Shen so early with the Gangplank available? If you were going for a dive comp, if you were going for someone like the LeBlanc, a pick comp, then the Shen makes a semblance of sense, but in this scenario, it seems a little bit unnecessary for them to have drafted Shen so early. Now action back over to ESC. Waiting to see if they draft a mid laner or a support with their last pick, as the Karma can be flexed between the two.
Question is, what does Tempt want to go for in the mid side? Vladimir obviously gone as Varus is gone. Doesn't have as many options as he would like, as we were talking about, ESC is the team with the really short champion pools. Looks like it might be a support Trundle coming through, which would leave Tempt with Karma in the mid lane.
So few notable champions for ESC ever. For mid lane, it is almost exclusively the Varus, and with that taken out very early by MVP, it is going to go for the utility of the Karma. Interesting spot this draft puts in, because, like we said, very strong tank line on the side of MVP, so theoretically, this game gets to a point of 2 armor items. It's going to be difficult for the Jin to do damage, but they have Gangplank as well. ESC, I think, are going to have to look for the mid-game snowball, because when the tank items come rolling in, it's difficult for this comp to function, and even to get picks with the Elise and the Jin, it's going to be difficult with the Tahm Kench to mop them up with the Val.
Yeah, I mean, you also have so many ways of interrupting that Jin ultimate. You can just throw that party cast right into the backside, knock him out of it, Shen taunt, Tahm Kench jumping on top of him, so this will be a bit rough here for ESC, but if they can get that Gangplank rolling with help from Elise, stop ADD from becoming very tanky on that Shen early on, might be enough to help them get ahead. We'll see what kind of build Tempt wants to bring out as well, because it feels like he doesn't necessarily need to go for that full AP like we saw from Ian in the last game. Could go for a bit more utility Karma, but who really knows what he's going to go for.
If we see those standard lanes, given they drafted Gragas with the first pick and Shen with Gangplank open, expect Beyond and Bless to really navigate around the top side and try to influence a lane matchup that on paper is big in the advantage of Gangplank, but you have to think MVP have a strategy if they blind picked.
Oh, I would certainly hope so. Or else it'd be a pretty ill-advised thing to do here. We'll see how Ian's Azir is going to compare to that of Faker's, who is just trying to, basically 1v9 in that second game. See if they can get out on top and see if Max can find success on Tahm Kench today, because so far he's 0-2. He's 0-2. So let's go ahead and get right into game 2, see if MVP can close this out, or if ESC is going to take us to the third game. Alright, another Cloud Drake, twice in a row.
미니언 생성까지 30초
So we got
남았습니다.
spoiled at the first set.
Was a good one, Kilios. Now, MVP taking out game 1 pretty cleanly, all things considered. But with a couple of wrinkles in their draft in game 2 that can definitely be papered over with some smart attention from Beyond. He's back on the Gragas. He was the first impressive Gragas we've seen from the jungle this season. So no reason that he can't have another great performance here.
Well, looks like we might just have, we're going to have the lane swap initiated by both sides, so it'll end up in the 2v2 up top. Meanwhile, ADD and Beyond just going to start at the Krugs, and we'll see the mirror coming through here for Crazy and Bless. So MVP, this could be a bit rough for them trying to, get ADD out of that lane against the Gangplank. I almost said Gragas. Out of lane against that Gangplank. It's going to end up there.
Is once again going to be the now standard Thunderlords gangplank, so more of an element of risk in the laning phase, but with the nerfs towards the Grasp of the Undying, it has definitely been the favored mastery.
Sorry, I got a good chuckle out of it. I thought you said Thunderloins.
Thunderloins is much funnier.
It's like, all right, here we go.
How do you know my nickname, Achilles?
Somebody should, that needs to be somebody's solo queue name. So go see if that name is taken in NA or EU, wherever you're watching from. It's probably gone, but that is an S tier name right there. Oh man, I wish that we had a professional player named Thunderlords, especially in Korea.
There's still time.
Well, especially in Korea, because like they probably wouldn't know what it really meant, or maybe they do. I mean, it's the whole fire trap story, so
that's true.
Would you like to give the details on that one to our viewers?
Well, Fire Trap is the player formerly known as Dart on the team. He was on Roccat, I believe, at the tail end of last year and early this year. Then he moved over to Dream Team, one of the challenger teams in NA. But Dart was actually the second iteration of his name because his original name was Fart. He was a top 40 challenger player named Fart. And then he wanted to go overseas, and it was mentioned to him that perhaps Fart would be the most marketable or acceptable name to go by. He knew exactly what it meant, by the way.
That's the best part, is that he just
thought it was a cool name.
Yeah, he was just like, yeah, I know. Like, you know what a fart is? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. If that's what you want your name to be.
That's what I was actually the one that suggested Dart. Because I was like, well, it's similar, and it's kind of like Bang. It's got good, like, onomatopoeia about it.
Yeah.
Great top laner.
That's really good. I mean, I kind of referenced the Mickey interview earlier in the first set, but there's actually an English interview, or mixed, Korean English interview with Song Yoon and Snowflower, where they asked them to speak English, and they said, "Can you tell us something about Snowflower in English?" And he said, "Snowflower is poop."
Then those two famous for being at each other's throats at all times. Lots of, especially when they're in Challenger, lots of phone interviews with them.
Yeah.
Where they would insult one another.
Yeah.
Playful rivalry.
Snowflower fired back and said, "Okay, Song-yoon is fart." So he is the physical embodiment of a fart, apparently.
Well, that was supposed to be Dart, but
not anymore.
He had to change his path.
There's a new fart in town.
Fire Trap's a pretty cool name. So he eventually got to a good name eventually.
I mean, Dart was fine.
It's okay.
He didn't have to change from Dart.
Back in Korea, he wanted to reinvigorate himself. I had no idea it was the same player until I looked it up, and I was like, oh, right, okay. That's where he got to.
I still just love, like, Ian and Max. They're just so normal. It's like a dude's name.
I love them for their good quality League of Legends play. Not so much for their names.
I mean, I would just pick a random name if I was going to go pro. I don't think I would use Achilles. I think I would just be like Scott.
Scott?
It's like, that's not even your real name. It's like, yeah, I know.
So if I see an Overwatch player that's a Widowmaker main and called Scott, I have a good idea who it is?
Exactly.
Okay.
I still don't know how like some of the OG employees found out about my Widowmaker.
You're good at Widowmaker. It is known. Shame about the other heroes.
Hey man, come on. My Pharah is up there.
Well, it's been another quiet early laning phase. This time it's standard lanes, so we got exactly what we wanted. Standard lanes, none of these pesky lane swaps.
Yeah, it's just so boring when that happens.
All this killing.
Why can't we go back to MSI meta? Those games were exciting. Wait a second.
Teams are just better. People remember the fondly, Season 3, Season 2, bloodier games. All those things happened, but teams got better since then. And that's the reason why we see these situations where there's low kills, is that it's much better to play a low-risk style because it's more often than not, high-risk, high-reward does exist, but you can go low-risk, medium reward and be, on the whole, rewarded for it more so than taking those big risks and losing the game from.
Yeah, I mean, there's more on the line. Oh boy, ADD though, he's in a really bad spot. Has to flash away, but it doesn't matter. That parlay is there to confirm the kill. Bless as well for insurance on the backside first blood. Yet again, going over to ESC. Crazy, getting rolling on the gangplank, and this is why you probably didn't want that Shen in lane.
It was a first item chain vest, you know, teleported back to lane, and both didn't seem to respect the amount of experience on the side of Crazy or the laning matchup. So a real head scratcher there from ADD.
Yeah, now he's going to be about a level and a half behind. So Crazy going to start stretching ahead.
I mean, it's not like his level 6 pop was going to give him any combat stats. It's just the ultimate for the team utility. So just screwed it up completely, and Bless was unnecessary in the end with his smart roam down bottom.
Yep, I mean, I guess ADD didn't, I mean, he didn't know Bless was there, but maybe if he had flashed out of the cannon barrage, he would have had a better chance of living through the gangplank and then would have just gotten killed by the Elise in the end. But either way, just a rough spot to be in. And we can see MVP are going to rotate Maha and Max down to that bottom side.
Well, they decide to end the laning phase with ADD using his flash. Definitely smart to not leave him in an extended lane against the gangplank.
Yeah,
but
just bail him out.
He does have a turret in the top lane that he could try to defend with there being no lane swap enacted. So instead of just going for some gold, you know, which would make sense with the Lucian and the earlier power spikes they have, they're going to decide to just try and give him a bit of time and a bit of solo experience in top lane. Get him close to that first item.
Yeah. Beyond, Max going to wrap around that backside as they try to hunt out Crazy, but he's rotating through the jungle. He'll stay safe, and we could just see ESC swap back down to that bottom, match the 2v2, and just try to keep Crazy in this advantageous lane. For now, though, looks like the turrets will be swapped out. Oh boy, ADD yet again getting jumped on, dashes to the side, dukes out that one bullet, it was nice, but now here it comes, that's the pain. Fourth bullet comes through and he's got nowhere to go. He is gonna die yet again, maybe not, yeah, there it is. It's just a matter of time. Waiting for that Q cooldown for Bless.
And that's why you don't walk through your jungle that your team wasn't playing towards, where you had no vision around apart from one pink ward, because now ADD is basically fed over another kill just from greedy pathing. He could have just walked straight down the lane, reassessed the situation, and backed off if he felt threatened.
Yeah.
But went for a face check that was a bridge too far, and now is 0-2-0 before really anything has developed in this match.
MVP, they're going to try to push in towards this tier 2. Crazy's the only one in the vicinity. He will be able to clear out the waves decently with the barrels, but see how much damage they can get in. They have the calling if they want to try to shove it back. Looks like they're going to be able to just maybe take this tier 2. So actually, this will work out pretty well for MVP, all things considered.
All about timing, so the minion wave dies. The next one is going to need to be pushed in, but no one's rotating fast as Totoro.
Yeah, Beyond's not going to get the slow off the barrel, but here comes Ian from the mid lane. Pins him into the wall, actually, with that Emperor's Divide. That's something that's not supposed to happen anymore. Meanwhile, Abyssal Voyage into mid. Max trying to go for temp, but the Tongue Lash is not going to connect. But a nice little pickup there for the side of MVP. So they gave up 2 kills, both on ADD. They pick up 1 onto Totoro and get some really nice damage in onto that tier 2 at bottom. So they're making some decent moves here.
I mean, the small thing they have to work with is that Shen will have a relatively cheap item build. Just going to build Sunfire, and if he's tanky enough to get through a fight, then that's great. You know, it's mostly about the Stand United and the initiation of the taunt. So if there's anyone to be held down where you kind of say, well, that's just the way it has to be, the Shen is definitely the best candidate on the side of MVP.
Yeah. So not going to be the worst case scenario, but they will find themselves in a bit of a deficit, both due to that first blood coming in and also Crazy having a nice almost 20 CS lead, plus the extra gold from Parlay. So that'll be helping them stretch about 1,000 ahead at the moment.
That spots out the ward at the back of the pit. No Drakes have been started. It's 10 minutes into the game, so with no lane swap, early Drakes are much more difficult to pick up.
Especially when you have to muster the willpower to take out that Cloud Drake.
On a lazy Saturday like today, it's too hard.
It's just such a beautiful creature is what it is.
I don't know if the Cloud Drake is beautiful, Achilles.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's not really an eyesore either. It's just kind of whatever.
I just want it gone.
Well, it's being buffed in the next patch, so hooray.
Hooray for that. It's very much needed to make it more desirable. Because it's like, there's comps where it's like, okay, this is good, but unless you get like 2 of them, then it's not the best thing. The best, like, the most you really get out of it is maybe like an extra Elder Drake stack. I know I'm being very harsh on the Cloud Drake. He's done nothing to deserve this.
You are also the first person worldwide to be harsh on the Cloud Drake, so you're a real trendsetter there.
Yeah, I know. I'm just very original. Will be confirmed there by Bless. Duke's back will get into the stomach of Max. Man United coming through onto the top of that Tom Kitchen. Dodo now in a really bad spot. Here comes ADD, but the curtain call's opened up. And a nice shot goes straight through onto Maha. Now Max trying to run away, pops the shield. ADD has to flash out to safety. He's trying to get some damage done, but he's not been able to yet. You know, throwing out the explosive casters, trying to knock them back. The rest of ESC pushing forward. The pillar, nice juke through there by ADD will keep him safe. But ESC, they turn that one around and get the dragon.
A nice accuracy on the first shot from Loken to confirm the kill. We mentioned that the armor will be coming out from MVP and stopping the effectiveness of the Jhin towards the mid to late game, but those armor items are still very much in the formative stage, and he's already got the Youmuu's Ghost Blade. If he can stack that armor penetration early, there's still a world where he does damage, but watching the replay, MVP could definitely have gotten out, but instead they go for the re-engage. They blow the Stand United for initiation purposes onto Max, and that just means it's not available for Maha in the backline. He dies with the early fight. Watch the fact that he actually holds on to the ult for this long, gets the root onto Beyond. Very nice accuracy with the skill shots from Loken, who's been pretty big afterthought this season for ESC ever, but on form is a great AD carry.
Yeah. Nicely done there. I mean, of course, had the help of Bless locking down Maha to really secure that kill. But this is looking like a bit of a struggle street for MVP. Sand Tower built up in that mid side so they can catch the wave and keep it going towards that tier 2. ADD's going to try to trade out with Temp. That's going to be the Abyssal Voyage coming in as well. Maha and Max in tow. Can they find a kill on Temp? It's going to be the big question. It looks like it's going to be a no. He's just too damn fast.
He might die also.
Yeah, well, that's going to be the Nom coming through. Max now, the one who's at risk of dying, pops that shield and will be able to stay alive for the time being. Maha. Pillar comes down, uses the culling, will shove ESC back for the moment, but they're in a rough spot, and ESC could aggress towards this tier 1 mid tower.
It's worth noting that these headaches are of MVP's own creation. They opted into this.
Ian goes in, scoops up only Totoro though, and takes a bunch of damage. The Cannon Barrage coming down. Beyond really far forward. Here comes the curtain call. There's no one to really block. Max is going to get popped in the end, and now Beyond's still in a bad spot. He will make it out of that captive audience in time. But ESC just shove forward and take down this tower now.
And the accuracy of these ultimates from Loken have been really good to see. Almost got a double kill just with his ult in that particular fight. They're going to get this out of mid lane turret. To finish the thought, this is all on the back of MVP choosing to go for this Shen with Gangplank available. Heavily expected that Crazy would pick it. They've tried to play around it, but he's a level and a half behind his opponent. It's been rotated on multiple times by ESC. And when he tried to over-pursue Karma 2 levels up, he almost straight up died. Just the Karma damage.
What do you think would have been a better selection for him going into this one, you know, blind? Because we've seen some differentiating in, as far as the blind top lane picks. Gnar has been one that's come out as well. So I guess we could have seen that, maybe even just go for the Gangplank blind, but then I feel like you just have Crazy take Gnar and then crush him. So
well, you could just not draft your top laner in the second round of picks on blue side. That's an option they had available to them. They could have gone for the Gnar, like you mentioned. That would have been safer. You can go for the Gangplank and deal with the bad laning matchups where you can get harassed, but in this particular situation, after game 1, it's just kind of crazy that they didn't pair this Shen top lane with a pick that really made sense. If you can go for a submarine pick, if you can go for something that really synergizes well, like the LeBlanc, and try and apply pressure to the enemy jungler by invading aggressively with the Shen ult, okay, I can kind of understand opting into a bad laning matchup, but nothing about this comp really demanded a Shen, and it's hurt them more than it's helped.
Yeah. I mean, submarine comp, we saw a really well executed one in TLA's game against C9C with Twitch and Evelyn, I'm pretty sure. So
pretty awful one from Longzhu before they had their recent winning streak. So the best and the worst on full spray.
You know,
no pocket
doesn't always work out.
No pocket Evelyns in Korea, unfortunately. They're in China. That's clear love for you.
Yeah. Everyone has this respect rule with Faker where nobody picks Evelyn anymore because it just tilts him and makes him think about MSI from 2 years ago.
Also makes him think of Bengi in the games where he just randomly dies on Evelyn as well. Evelyn Tilda's real for SKT.
Well, now he can just think about the games where Blank dies randomly.
Has been a few of those this season.
Had a few of those today.
Yeah. Polarizing player, Blank.
Oh boy, Ian taking a hell of a lot of damage. Cannon Barrage Stone down. Max is there to eat him up though, trying to keep him safe. Saving that last shot.
Oh, he
Stand
hit.
United. Oh, barely saves him.
Death
but
by a touch.
That's going to be
And the
death by a
trundle.
touch. And yeah, it's Subjugate from Totoro taking him down. Nicely done. And Loken's accuracy is so good beyond. He is going to fall as well. Gets taken out. ADD trying to hold on to this. Tier 1 at the top side will go in onto Crazy. Calling getting used, but that's not going to catch anybody. And ESC are just running away with game 2 right now.
It's crazy how if you had the nameplates reversed, it's game 1. That's just been the difference between these two teams. Has been a lot of parity over the course of it. They went for the earlier power spikes this time from ESC. The aggression's been great, but Loken has definitely been the man to catch your eye with just such incredible accuracy on the curtain call.
Yeah,
We're going to see the replay now. First he
good
hits
catch.
the W, and you think, okay, 2 shots are down. There's no real kill pressure. This shot onto Ian is pretty damn ridiculous, clipping him as he tries to move by on the Azir, and they keep causing pressure. They turn onto Beyond. This time the W misses, but the tether is there, and that doesn't even need to flash aggressively. And ESC now in full control. 4,000 gold ahead at 18 minutes.
Yep. And this is basically their game to lose at this point. They could just keep going like this and they'll be fine, but unless they make a crucial mistake, it's going to be so difficult for MVP to get back into here. They're gonna pick up this Mountain Drake. That'll help out a decent bit, but ESC, well, they're not going to contest. They're going to just let this one go over, so it looks like we'll just go Cloud, Mountain, Cloud.
And no one can afford to itemize into armor, given that Elise and Karma are still hitting hard, and Gragas is the front line, so needs to be able to absorb that magic damage. So Loken and Crazy are continuing to put out big physical damage numbers. And until we hit those 2-3 item phases, ADD decides to build a Tiamat. I don't know, I think you need to get tankier, but
yeah, I don't know about that one.
seems questionable. Yes, he's respecting the Trundle stealing away stats, but you can't respect everything on the side of ESC. Tank shredding, strong physical damage, strong early game magic damage. You need to split between the two, and so far the split for MVP hasn't been pretty in game 2.
Yeah, they pretty much has been split right down the middle in this one. And ADD, yeah, it's actually not as far behind in CS as I thought that he would be, but still not in a good spot to really just impact these fights. And, you know, is nowhere near that unkillable Shen that he needs to be. MVP, if they could delay for a significant amount of time, they might be able to swing this one back, but it just doesn't seem likely because ESC just keeps pushing on the accelerator.
I mean, MVP have had to invest 5 pink wards just to have enough defensive vision to farm on their side of the jungle.
We're gonna go for a pick on the Loken, knock him back a little bit with the castle, chunk him down to half, but now Beyond gonna get rooted. Curtain Call still available. Loken holding on to that. TP coming into the backside now. Here comes the Curtain Call. One shot onto ADD. Max looking like he's gonna go down, and he does. Last one comes through. Beyond getting chunked out. Emperor's Divide is there, but Temp flashes over, finishes him off with the Q. Maha trying to get a trade in onto Totoro, but the heal is there from Loken. He'll still find it, but he is going to go down in the end. And Ian and ADD more than likely going to fall. Looks like they'll just go ahead, turn away from the Shen. There's a Baron that they can take. That's going to be a 4-for-1 for ESC.
And MVP, as I said, they invested 5 pink wards just to be able to farm on their side of the map, then went for a Rambo invade without strong vision of their own, just placing a couple of wards as they went in. The moment that they couldn't bounce Loken into his death, they should have pulled away, but they'd invested too much by then. As you can see from this replay, they will lose Baron, as we saw just before. If you can pick Loken, for sure you have a chance against ESC Ever, but there's the Gangplank hold. Suddenly Loken is able to free hit. Nice response, and Azir can't even get to this fight. They initiate what ends up being a 4v5 on the enemy side of the jungle with minimal vision. And ESC, they've got the Karma this time. They're able to just continue chasing. Nothing MVP can do as the exit kills stack up, and man, game 1 to game 2 is night and day between these two squads.
Yep, 10-2 right now, and a 7,000 gold lead for ESC just 21 minutes in. This is extremely rough for MVP. It's just Bit of an unfortunate bounce there onto Loken with that explosive cask. If they had just knocked him further down the lane instead of into the wall, they might have been able to finish him out before the collapse came through from the rest of the squad, but it's not how things transpired. And MVP are really, really suffering now as the towers are starting to crumble. Just 2 tier 2s remaining as they're outer. They're going to go for a play onto Crazy up top here. Abyssal Foliage coming in. He actually does not see this.
He has a turret, though.
Yep. Throw it out the cannon barrage, try to slow them up. Ian's coming in as well, though. Crazy, he's in a really rough spot. Max going to get on top of him. Will have that Devourer available. He flashes away. That's a bit ill-advised, I would think. And he will go down. Curtain Call's open up, standing united there. Max going to nom up on Maha, try to keep him alive, spits him out. And looks like MVP will get away with that pick onto Crazy.
Keep going for the picks even though they don't open up any objectives, and in general it just feels like they feel like they're in a position to skirmish even though they're 7,000 gold behind against a Baron buff up opponent. This time they actually do get that objective, but they might actually lose map pressure from that move rather than really gain any objectives.
ESC sticking around in this mid side. ADD's actually rotating out and down the river. Probably should have just stuck top and tried to clear. He has TP available, so can't join the team. Emperor's Divide's going to whiff. Not going to find anybody there. Well, Totoro using the flash, so not going to get that catch. And ESC just rotate bottom. Might look to pressure out this tier 2. Maha almost has calling available, so they might be able to stave this off.
Yeah, but this buys time for Crazy to come from base. Doesn't have teleport, but will just come and push up the mid lane wave. Difficult for MVP to keep up a outer bot lane turret, or inner bot lane turret, given the texture of the game and the Baron buff for ESC ever.
Yeah, and ADD used the where did he teleport to?
I didn't catch that.
He should have just stayed top and taken the tower and then teleport. Okay, whatever, it's fine. Well, it's not fine for MVP, it's fine for ESC, so they're going to continue pushing at this bottom side. And Crazy is just occupying Shen in the mid lane.
The siege is not great from ESC, so they still haven't cracked this turret. Jin is definitely one of the worst champions at pushing down turrets with his 4-shot mechanic.
Well, they still get some good damage in. That's the calling down from Maha. And ADD is just eating all of the damage from that gangplank.
Here comes Tahm Kench.
They're going to go for it. It's going to be the slow coming in on the tongue lash and jump on top of him. Cannon Barrage is down. They should be able to finish him off, and they do. Maha finds the kill, but they're going to lose the tier 2 and bot. No, never mind. Okay.
And see the power that's been granted to the Abyssal Voyage for Tahm Kench. The channel time being so much shorter means that when it comes to playing against it, there's much less reaction time, and Gangplank was just caught off guard by it. They get a kill. They're pushing up to the Drake. Beyond will jump over, but for now it's actually only Bless anywhere near.
Yeah, so he'd have to just go for the steal. He's actually could have taken away with the Q and Smite. Nicely done by Bless. That was just fearless, cheeky play, and Beyond's got to be feeling pretty bad about that one.
I mean, to be fair to Beyond, he was a level behind an Elise who does have very high instant smite damage, but obviously feels good if you're blessed to, given how well they're going in the early game, be able to just walk up 1v4 to the Drake.
Yep. Oh boy, ADD in a rough spot. Now Ian getting caught. He's able to cleanse off that cocoon. Root's not going to connect onto him, but now the curtain call is opened up. Uses the Emperor's Divide just to keep him away. Bless is going to chase in with the Repel. Beyond going low. Flash over the wall by Tempt, and they'll find the kill. Loken takes it away in the end. So ESC still just pushing in fearlessly into the jungle and finding kills still.
It's continuing the snowball. It seems like we're never going to get to the point when MVP have a strong enough front line to shrug off Jin's damage. 2 armor penetration items already finished for Loken. Only now just a Glacial Shroud for Beyond and a Sunfire for ADD. When the snowball happens like this, there's just no gold to actually answer all the threats from ESC.
ADD gonna go in, gets a ton on the Bless, takes a bunch of damage, but look at that on the Maha, goes so low. ADD goes down. Beyond now respawning. Loken flashes out. Almost loses his life there, but they still will be able to net themselves on tier 2 tower. So ESC they can just push in wherever they want at this point. MVP just can't do a damn thing.
Yeah, you're right. Crazy can even stay longer and pick up more farm. The map is a very narrow one for MVP. They find it hard to get to their Wolves and Raptor camps, let alone anywhere else on the map. Baron respawning in a minute. MVP haven't really been in the area to put down any vision. And for now, they still are unable to push up vision around the Baron.
Loken, what a performance on this Jhin so far. 4-0 and 6. Almost 100% kill contribution. Been having a field day.
It's been a poor season by Loken standards, given that we really developed high standards for him in Challenger and with his performances on the international scene. But while he's dropped from that peak, he does still have games like this that remind you that when you're talking about the best AD carries in Korea, he certainly hasn't earned top 3, but should always be in the conversation because his ceiling is very high.
That it is. He just needs that consistency. But ESC also shaking things up as far as consistency goes with their support players. So maybe we'll see more of Totoro moving forward, as this game is much more controlled by ESC as a whole.
Just going to continue pushing in vision. Baron spawns in 10 seconds. MVP haven't been able to get any vision in the area. Gangplank can just go bottom, but doesn't have teleport, so is going to cancel that recall.
Yeah, wants to stick around. ADD should be able to quickly take that tower as it was chunked out from earlier on.
Temp does have teleport himself, though, so the Karma can go to answer the Shen.
She'll roam down. He's going to be able to take this out, though. So, nicely done there by ADD. He's just going to run away from the Karma. Temp is going to really try to chase him out beyond, though, getting caught rooted. Curtain call opened up. One more shot will do it. Stand United, it's not going to do a damn thing to keep him alive. And the jungler is gone, and that should be a free Baron going over to ESC, barring a miraculous steal by somebody on the side of MVP. But
I'm even trying to walk up to the Gangplank barrels and everything else from ESC is going to be a headache at minimum. They have no smite with Beyond Dead.
They're walking up as 4. Maha gets caught by the cocoon, has to dash out. You can see just the cannon barrage doing a good amount of damage. Ian going to get rooted, and the Baron is confirmed there by Bless. Max spitting him out, he dashes away, but MVP are in such a rough spot. Crazy's wrapping around. We should have another route coming in from Loken soon. They want to continue pursuing, but they might just go straight down this mid lane and try to get the inhibitor.
It's just a really simple situation for ESC. Even though MVP walked up, there is no threat of a Baron steal, so why not just pop the Karma Shield, DPS it down, smite it away, inside track into the mid lane as well, so that's going to be the inhibitor turret like you outlined, and back away and spend your gold.
Maybe looking for a taunt, but not really nearby. Using that mantra shield to just speed everybody up and zip them out. Now a 10.3 thousand gold lead for ESC ever. And they'll be looking to close this game out pretty soon, I would think, with that Baron now picked up.
With the result earlier, with Afrika taking out SK Telecom, this on a series honestly could go either way, because I think both teams honestly have had a lot of motivation coming into it. ESC's looking at potentially playing in relegations, want to get games towards Longzhu's match score, and MVP, if they don't win today, are going to be 3 matches behind the Afrika Freaks, so would all be out of playoffs, but it's been the spirited comeback from ESC in Game 2 with Totoro back in the lineup. It gives them a shot in this series.
I mean, there's still a world where MVP falls into relegation. It's certainly possible at this point. Save on the Maha there with the Devour. ADD trying to tank up in the front side. It's going to go low. Has to get out of there. Cannon Barrage trying to slow him up. Curtain Call not going to find any kills yet beyond just barely getting away from that route with the flash, but the inhibitor will fall in mid. And ESC are just going to rotate down to that bottom side where they have a massive wave of minions grouping up near that turret.
And no greediness. Just canceling the Curtain Call after 2 shots to refund part of the cooldown. Just returning to what's working, which for now, crazily with the team with Jhin, is sieging down towers.
That they are, and they should be able to get this pretty quickly. They're going to Missile Boy straight into the backside. Ian using that Emperor's Vine, trying to pinch them off. Tempt going pretty low. ADD comes in with the Stand United, but he is just going to get chunked out and taken out immediately. Crazy finds the kill. Maha trying to dash back, but a last parlay comes through. That's going to be a double kill now, going over to the Gangplank. And Ian and Beyond, the last 2 members alive, are just trying to retreat as best as they can. But it's just not going to happen for Beyond. He goes down, and now ESC with super creeps in the mid side. They're going to come over here. They're going to finish this game out at 31.5 minutes.
Yeah, no items available to MVP to counter what ESC ever is doing. A virtuoso performance by Loken on the Jhin. A final kill, just the cherry on top, and we're going to a game 3.
Well, we've seen pretty matched performances coming out from both of these guys. MVP taking hold of game 1, ESC really taking a hold of game 2, and they did it about 15 minutes faster than MVP was able. So big question now is, what's going to happen for game 3? MVP moving back over to that red side. They can save the last pick for the top lane for ADD, who really struggled here. But can ESC find dominance? Will Totoro be able to help this team get ahead early and keep it that way?
I have a feeling the next draft could be very interesting. Karma has been on the winning side in both games. Will that have to be a ban? Will something slip through to one of these junglers, for example, with an adaptation ban like that? The Trundle has also been an important pick, specifically in the support role this series. So let's see if the draft evolves and we don't just have another one-sided snowball between the two, because like you said, Game 1 was all about MVP, and in Game 2, in perhaps even more crushing fashion, it was all about ESCM.
Yeah, for sure. And Loken, what a wonderful Jhin performance from him. Don't think he didn't die the entire game. It was 4-0 and 10. You can see coming in second place on the damage, just under Crazy, who had a really good gangplank game as well.
And then the AD carry bans clearly were useful against Maha, forced onto the Lucian. Not that he in particular was a big problem for his team, but you can see without that utility AD carry, they seem to just struggle to find an identity in Game 2.
Yeah. So we'll see if some of these AD carry bans get dropped. Maybe it'll open up the pool a little bit, because Ash Sivir, those games there, certainly hurting, especially from Maha, who didn't do so well on the Lucian. But ADD especially going to try to have a better game in Game 3. As his performance on Shen didn't really do much. So we'll go to a quick break. When we come back, Game 3, we'll see who is our victor.